see the announcement coming out today?
What announcement?
Ram is introducing their electric truck today at 5:30 p.m.
Oh,
Super exciting.
they're competing with Ford.
Yep, got to take on Ford and Chevy. But based off of all that I've been seeing, I think I'll still take my 300 miles on a tanky diesel.
Welcome to the Wandering RV Podcast, your bi-weekly source for our stories
Our screw-ups.
and our successes living the full-time RV life. I'm your host, Kara, the Wandering RV Babe, and this is my driver, Ryan.
Tallahassee.
Okie dokie. Well, that's just where we ate lunch at today. So we're recording on the road. It's a beautiful day out. So where are we going?
We are headed to St. Augustine, Florida.
Yeah.
Or is that St. Augustine, Florida?
Listen here. Learn how to pronounce it.
Tallahassee.
Oh my goodness, you're a little much today. So there was a bunch of weather that came through the Gulf Coast a couple days ago, and we were supposed to just do like a one-night stay in Louisiana and then keep going, and we ended up waiting and going ahead and staying 2 days in Louisiana because we wanted to wait out the storms, and we stayed at a really, really cool campsite.
Yeah, it was a Poverty Point Reservoir State Park, and it's in Delhi, Louisiana. Now, I'm going to tell you, we looked for at least an hour for the deli, because you'd think there'd be a deli in Delhi, Louisiana called Deli Deli.
They have a barber shop. They have a Mexican food place that was really good. They had a Berkshire's grocery store. They had a beauty shop.
But no Deli Deli.
No Deli Deli. Our main topic today is not actually about our RV or our current RV life.
That's right. We're talking about our past lives.
What, were we reincarnated? Were we reincarnated? What is this, like, what number life are you on right now, sir?
It's a really low number because I'm lacking in a lot of wisdom.
No. We are talking about who we are and how we ended up here and how we ended up doing the RV life from, the time that we met until the time that we got to where we're at. So,
But what happens if I don't know who I am? How can I tell other people if I don't know?
well, that sounds like a personal problem.
Okay, I'll figure it out.
So, fun fact, I guess we have to start at the beginning. The beginning actually starts when...
I was born
Okay.
in a hospital.
Oh my goodness, we're starting way back there. All right. Wow. I was going to start when we met.
Oh, yeah. That makes more sense.
Yeah, on your right.
Oh, yeah. Party lights.
It looks like tow truck lights. So I was going to start at the beginning when we met, which was in middle school.
Middle school?
Sweethearts. How many people do you know that are middle school sweethearts?
Well,
I've not met any others. High school sweethearts, yes. College sweethearts, for sure. Middle school sweethearts, not so sure about that one.
yeah, I can't think of any. I feel like we have met, like, just random people and found out that they were middle school sweethearts, but nobody like we knew personally.
Right. Yeah, we met through a friend. We were both in band together, and I was a grade level above you, but we had one of our extracurricular classes, one of our elective classes, together at one point in my 8th grade year, 7th grade year. And y'all, let me just tell you how cute he was. He wrote me a little note. We had become friends, and we'd been friends for about a year. And he wrote me a little note that was like the old George Strait song, check yes or no. It was really, really cute. And of course I checked yes, because he was really cute and he had cute dimples.
You're missing the one fatal flaw in my note.
It wasn't a fatal flaw because I figured it out.
I wrote my name in code.
It was... You were protecting yourself in just in case I rejected you.
No. I was making sure that you were smart enough for me.
Smart enough to figure it out. Well, yes, you wrote your name in code, and I figured out the code, and the code was back when we had phones that had the number pad on it and the letters on the actual number pad itself. Each number had like 3 or 4 letters assigned to it, and that was the code that was his name that I figured out. And then I decided he was really cute, and I would check yes. And the rest is history. On your right. So we started dating in middle school. And when I say dating, I really do mean dating. Our parents were crazy and they let us actually date. So they would drop us off at the local movie theater. There happened to be a couple restaurants right around the local movie theater as well. And so we would go see a movie and then go to dinner, and then they would pick us up after dinner. This was before cell phones, people. So we just had to estimate the time and estimate how long we would take for dinner, and then just kind of keep an eye out for mom and dad's car to come back and pick us up.
Yeah, I mean, they let us go on dates at a certain point. There were a few, I guess you would call them double dates.
With the parents, yes.
With the parents that preceded that. But I think after we stuck it out for a little while, they decided to let us have a little bit of our own time at the movies and then at dinner.
Yeah, and that was fun.
Yeah, I mean, we basically, in a lot of ways, grew up together. We're going on 17 years of marriage and
20 something.
24 and a half years of being together.
Yes, from the start of our dating relationship, yeah, about 24 years.
It's been
a long time.
It's been a long time.
I still like you, so that's a good sign.
Well, I do still enjoy spending time with you. I mean, we're literally with each other almost 24/7.
That is true, in a camper, which is, like 300 square feet. So I guess we really, really need to like each other still.
We were so close at a certain point that in high school, we started going on vacations with each other. I would go with her and her family, and she would come with me and my family. At 15 or 16 years old, her mom let my parents take her with us all the way to California on vacation.
Yeah, we went to San Francisco that year, and we had a blast.
It was so much fun. And so we kind of started vacationing together as family.
Right.
While we were still in high school. And then right as I was getting into my senior year, I think it was, my parents bought a camper, a Pioneer travel trailer box camper, because they wanted to start camping more often.
And they had camped before.
Yeah, when I was younger, we had a pop-up tent trailer that we would camp in.
And then when I was younger, I did a lot of tent camping with my mom and my dad both together, and then we would just do a lot of tent camping, sleeping on the ground, all of that stuff, really truly roughing it.
I don't think I ever really did much tent camping when I was younger. We didn't really get into that until you and I were married. But my parents had bought this Pioneer, and there was enough extra beds and everything. And so one of their first big trips, we all went out together to the Smoky Mountains to hang out and kind of check things out. And we kind of hit a couple of other places around there. But that was the first big trip, and it was us, my parents, and I think my sister.
One of your sisters went with us too.
Yeah.
And that was a blast. We loved it. I think we fell in love with it from the moment that we started. And what was funny was one of the first trips that we went on with them in the camper, two crazy things happened. And I don't remember if these were two separate trips or if it was the same trip. I feel like it was probably the same trip. But one, we were driving right through the middle of a thunderstorm, and the weather was super, super bad. It was kind of up near Oklahoma, and it was really, really scary. It started hailing on us. We could barely see, and we were driving, with your parents in the truck towing the camper. And then I believe it was that same trip when we were coming back home, your dad's truck at the time wasn't what it is now. He very quickly swapped it out for a more powerful truck, but we ended up losing gas, and we ended up kind of on the side of the road right outside of Post, Texas, and you two had to walk to the gas station to go get gas. And we still love it.
Yeah, that was a lesson learned. Once you get your tank down to about halfway, you just go ahead and fill up, and it's a good opportunity to take a pee break and stretch your legs.
Exactly. And then when we were first married, our very first trip was to Yellowstone, again, with your parents, which they had switched over to an Airstream by that point. They've camped for years and years and years in their Airstream now. They love it. And the very first trip, we were in Yellowstone. It was the beginning of the summer, and Yellowstone happened to get this kind of fluke snowstorm, which can happen up there. It's still in the northern part of the country. And we ended up losing power in the middle of the night, and our laundry was still in the washer when the campground lost power. It was at night. We ended up having to plug a lamp in just to alert us if we got power back in the middle of the night. Sure enough, we did. And it was, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when we got the power back up, and you and I both got up and went and grabbed our laundry, threw it in the dryer, and went back to sleep.
Oh yeah, we bundled up and went over there. It was cold.
It was freezing. I think we put every blanket and all of the rest of the clean clothes on top of ourselves to stay warm that night because, no power, it's snowing, and it was quite uncomfortable, but it was part of the adventure. And so I think when we ended up getting into this lifestyle, we knew what we were getting into, and we knew some of the things to look out for because we'd been doing it for so long, both separately and then also together.
I mean, we were with them, we were setting up, we were tearing down, we were doing everything with them for a good solid 15 years. We loved it so much that we knew at a certain point when we retired that this was going to be our life. We were, whatever the state of affairs were, we were going to sell our home, buy an RV, and we were just going to hit the road. That was the retirement plan. And so we kind of put that on the back burner.
But we were focused on kind of the things that you typically would think that a young married couple would focus on, like our careers. I worked in an office job in human resources. I was pretty much had to be on site all the time.
And I had landed a really good job in IT, and so I ended up dropping out of college to pursue that as a career for a very long time, eventually evolving into video and audio production.
Yeah, and both of those things require both of us to be on site. So, of course, typical commute to work every day and get home. And yeah, at one point, we actually worked together for 6 or 7 years.
Yeah, we were commuting literally every day together at that point.
Yeah, it was really funny. It was interesting because for the most part, most of our marriage, we had 2 cars. But at one point, we were able to drop down to 1 car because we just commuted together most of the time.
And there really wasn't much reason for the other one at that point other than, hey, we have our own fun car.
Yeah, exactly.
Then we started to pursue other job opportunities and moved on from that place. And I mean, you ended up finding a really, really cool job that you're still at now.
Yeah, I love it.
And I ended up finding a job that was 100% production only. And so we decided to build our house.
Yeah.
Build our own custom house designed to our exact specifications and focus on that. I mean, it had this beautiful upstairs loft that I had plans. I mean, I had plans. When we put that thing in, I had it pre-wired for 7.2 surround sound or 7.3, whatever the fanciest surround sound I could get. So that way, eventually, when the kids get older, I could just turn that into a media room. But for the time being, it was kind of set up as a playroom for the kids.
Exactly. Yeah, it was huge, at least for what we were used to, and it was far too much for 2 people. But at the time, we were trying to have kids, trying to have a family, and so it was a perfect home for us at that time, and it was really close to family, which was really nice.
Yeah, I mean, we were only like maybe 20 minutes from my parents, and my sister literally lived on the same street as us.
Yeah, we were down the street from her, which was awesome. But, things happen. Life doesn't always go according to plan, and a couple of things actually changed for us. One was, having kids didn't pan out for us. And so there was that. Now we had this big old house just to ourselves. And then the pandemic hit. And when the pandemic hit, we both went work from home for a little while. I never ended up going back into the office. And my job now has just transformed into one that is able to be done fully remotely.
But mine, unfortunately, being production, especially specifically live video and audio production, I did have to be in the office at least a few times a week initially during COVID, and then eventually had to be back in the office every single day. But we were like, hey, we really, we've been talking about this. We want to start camping on our own. We want to have our own camper. So we started looking at all the different campers. And at the time, I had a Ram 1500, so a half-ton truck. So we're looking at smaller campers that we could reasonably pull with the truck that I already had, that we could just kind of go on a weekend trip every now and then.
Yeah. We thought that would be a really great way to start to ease into it on our own. We had obviously had plenty of experience kind of being the tag-along campers with your parents, but we wanted to do it on our own. And we very quickly realized that weekend camping wasn't going to really work super well for us.
Unfortunately, part of my job was also running production for events, which happen a lot on the weekends.
Yeah.
Which means that for us to be able to camp, I needed to be able to camp during the week, and Kara was better off camping on the weekends. So we kind of talked about it. We hemmed and hawed. We'd already kind of picked out our camper and everything.
Yeah, we
We
did.
knew the one we wanted, and we called up the sales guy and we were like, "Hey, change of plans. What can you show us in a full-timer sized camper, like something that we could live out of with all the amenities, washer, dryer, like enough space that we could build an office for Kara?" And one of the stipulations was, I was going to have to give up my job. I was going to have to effectively retire from live production to be able to do this, because if we wanted to go full time, we were still looking at the moment, but if we wanted to go full time, that was going to be the sacrifice, was at least one job. But we'd be saving money over the mortgage and all the bills that come with owning a home.
Yeah, it was kind of one of those moments in your life, and I think a lot of people had that moment in some form or fashion as a result of the pandemic, where you just reevaluate what's important to you, what your priorities are, and what you really want to do in the future. And for us, we thought, wow, there is literally nothing stopping us except for you being tied down to your job from being able to do our retirement plan dream now while we're still young and we can still work and still obviously maintain that lifestyle, but it came with a sacrifice. And the more and more we talked about it, the more and more we thought, you know what, this is really the right thing for us right now in our lives.
And it didn't hurt that at that moment housing prices were going through the roof.
Oh yeah.
Which meant that our 2-year-old custom built brand new house now had a nice little profit margin on it.
Exactly. So it was the right time, the right place for us to go ahead and take that full-time plunge. So that was ultimately what led to our decision to go full-time. We ended up selling our house a few weeks later. We closed on the trailer, and then we ordered a truck, and you traded in your $1,500 for a $3,500 and hit the road in November of that same year.
Yeah, I think the fact that we did all of this together and things just kind of ended up falling into place was really what made it feel so right. And it didn't feel like it was a massive plunge. It was more of like, no, this is just the next evolution of our relationship. We started as middle school sweethearts, then we were high school sweethearts, then we were, doing vacations and camping together. And that was just such a big formative moment for us, even before we were married. And then after we got married, spending years camping with our family and just kind of doing that as that's what you do. And then eventually it was, well, now we're ready to take on the mantle ourselves, and we're ready to camp on our own and just travel the world. Well,
Not
the
the
country.
world, the country.
yeah, the country, and enjoy ourselves. And it was one of those things that felt right in the moment. And I'll throw out, like, there was one additional thing that kind of sealed the deal. Our beloved oldest dog had passed away the summer before, and she had gotten to that point where she was too old to really have adapted very well to the camping life. And so it was one less thing. It was like, okay, this is a sad event, but she was not in a good place to start that lifestyle. Whereas our other dog,
She loves it.
She loves it. She's much younger. She's able to adapt. And so it was kind of just one more confirmation, like everything
fell into place.
Exactly.
Yeah. So why did we start the podcast? There's a really good reason why we started the podcast, and it really has to do with a lot of this. And so we thought we would share that with you guys and just give you that secret of why we started the podcast.
Well, now I'm really curious. Do I even know why we started the podcast?
Well, I don't know. Do you know why we started the podcast?
I thought we started the podcast to keep everybody updated.
We did.
Okay.
It's exactly right.
So we obviously have a ton of friends in the DFW area, people that we've known for a very long time. And we have family as well that we want to keep up to date with, and we want to let them know where we're at and what we're doing. And so this podcast is supposed to be our story, not, we're going to give you some tips and tricks along the way, and we're going to tell you kind of the things that we learned and hope that it helps you, because I know we learned a ton from being able to camp with my parents beforehand. But our hope is maybe if you didn't have that experience, maybe you can listen to us and get some of those tips and tricks and think of us like, your family that's giving you the information. But what we really want is to tell our story of how we got into this and what we're doing and how we're living this life and how much fun it is.
Well, that and also cultivate a community of fellow campers, whether you're weekend warriors or full timing it like us. There's always something new to learn on the road. I think your dad has even mentioned that in 15, 16 years of camping, he finds new things almost every time he goes camping and discovers something new. And so it's a fun community to be a part of. It's a fun community to learn from each other and just connect. So that's what we hope that this podcast is just an opportunity, one, for you to keep up with us and hear about all the things that we're doing throughout the year, but also to connect with us and engage with us. And we would love to hear from you and any of your camping experiences as well.
Okay, well, this was a perfect topic to pull out this one fan question that I think is crucial. How do you get along in such a small space?
That's a great question. We get that question quite a bit, especially from other married couples.
I think there's so many married couples that I've talked to. They're like, I don't want to be that close to my spouse that much, and we totally understand. We know couples like that, and it's not a knock against their relationship. It really is just different strokes for different folks. For us, I think what really, and I'll speak for myself at least, I feel like we have spent so much time together over the past 24 years that you are my best friend, and I want.
Oh, you're my best friend too, baby.
And I want to do things with you. I want to have fun with you. I want to experience life with you. And so being in a small space, I don't notice it. I don't think about it. If anything, it's more jarring when we're not together.
Yeah, I think that's part of it, at least for us, is we both enjoy quality time together and we appreciate that more than even getting each other gifts. In fact, we don't get each other gifts for any special occasion of any kind. We instead plan to go do something together and have an experience together. So part of, our traveling is all about us going and adventuring together and kind of part of that journey, but doing it together. So we love quality time together. We love just kind of being in the same room with each other. Even if we're both doing something completely differently, we just like hanging out together. And so that's part of it. But I think that there's two really big guidelines that we really try to follow, and I think this helps us and hopefully helps other married couples who are living together in a tiny space as well. The first one is just really honest communication, honest and candid communication. There's been times when we disagreed with each other and one of us was upset and emotional about it, and we were able to articulate, hey, if we try to have a conversation about this right now, it's not going to go very well because I'm too upset. So give me some time to chill out and go take a walk or whatever, and then we can have a conversation about it. And so even just being that transparent with each other has been really helpful.
Yeah, I think that can go a long ways to be a little honest with yourself, that if you're, say, having an argument or just disagreeing on something, saying to the other person, hey, I am not mentally in a place to work this out right now. We are on two sides of the same coin, and I don't want to see you at this moment. No, it's never.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, we've had that conversation. I love you, but I don't like you right now.
Yeah, it's not. But it's not. I don't want to see you. It's just that I can't have this conversation right now.
Yeah.
And I think that's really being able to look at yourself and say, I'm not in that headspace, or.
Mm-hmm.
Also trying your best to recognize, don't put words in somebody else's mouth, but trying to recognize if the other person is not in that headspace yet, or maybe is not able to voice that at this moment, and being respectful of the fact that, like, this is, sometimes going to bed angry is okay if you're honest about it. Don't go to bed not talking about if you're upset, but if you acknowledge and you've already talked through the fact that you're upset and right now is not the time to discuss it, then be willing to go to bed angry and just know it. Don't hide it. Don't brood on it.
Yeah. I think the second guideline that we really follow, and these are kind of good principles for any relationship, but especially for a marriage is not 50-50. It's 100-100. And what I mean by that is if you are, as an individual, 100% trying to do what's best for your spouse and trying to meet your spouse's needs as much as possible, and they're doing the same thing for you with that honest communication, then things are going to go much more smoothly and things are going to go much better than if you're, if you let that kind of selfish jealousy kind of creep in and you want what you want, then, that's certainly going to cause more problems than if you continue to try to be as selfless as possible in the relationship.
Yeah, it's not about what can the other person do for me. It's about what can I do for them because I love them, because I care for them, and being grateful when they do something for you. I think so.
Yeah, that's a good point.
My two biggest things that I tell newly engaged, about to be married couples is first, the groom is just window decoration at the wedding.
He's very important.
He's very important, but he is just decoration. This is not his day. This is the bride's day. And second, marriage is not 50-50. It is 100-100. It is so important to recognize that you're putting 100% in and they're putting 100% in. And sometimes they're only going to be able to put 75% in, and you might have to step up and put 125% in for a day or two or a week. And you acknowledge that they may not be able to sometimes.
Yeah. And I will say, the first time you go to try to back in your trailer to a back-end site, that is a perfect marriage test.
The first time you go to back into a site, maybe have some other people around. No, I'm not just kidding.
No. Awesome. All right. Well, we've gotten to a new segment that we want to introduce in the podcast, and we don't have a name for it yet, so we would love your help in coming up with a name for it. But the segment really is kind of a, for lack of a better term, a pick of the week. It's either a tip or a trick or a camping hack, or sometimes it's a product or a service that we have found helpful, and we want to share that with you. And so we'll incorporate that in to every single episode moving forward. But we would love your help to come up with a name for it, some sort of fun, catchy name. It could have to do with camping, it could have to do with RV life. But if you think of a name, please shoot it to us at our Instagram page, our TikTok page, or our email at podcast@wanderingrvbabe.com. But for this week, for our pick, is yard games. There's all kinds of fun things to do outside when you're camping, and it doesn't have to cost any money. And so there's a ton of different yard games that you can bring with you, or tailgate games that you can bring with you. And we chose to bring something that's a little bit unusual with us. And so we wanted to talk about what we brought, why we brought it, and what other options are.
Yeah, I think inside your camper, have some cards, have some games that you want to play inside. Super, super important. But have some outdoor games with you. You can bring one like us. Like, we only have one right now because it's kind of our favorite, and it's really easy for us to play just the two of us, or we can play it with a big group. And so that's bocce ball. Bocce ball is so much fun. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's really hard to describe, but basically you have 8 big balls and 1 tiny ball, and one person throws the tiny ball, and everyone then is vying to get their big ball that is assigned to them, whether they have 1, 2, or 4, as close to the tiny ball as possible to score.
Yeah, it's all a little bit of like the shuffleboard concept.
Kind of, yeah.
But
we have our own family rule,
yeah,
which
we have
makes
a house rule.
Which makes it really, really fun. However, the initial pitcher, I'm going to call him a pitcher, throws the bocce ball, the small ball. Everyone has to throw it the same way. So if they throw it overhanded, everyone has to throw it overhanded. If they throw it with their offhand, everyone has to throw it with their offhand. If they throw it between their legs, everyone has to throw it between their legs when they go to throw the big balls, which it really does make a big difference, and it is hilarious.
Yeah, it's really, really fun when you've had 1 or 2 drinks as well.
And it's great with a big group. We've done it. I mean, you could do it all the way up with
8
people. I think would probably maybe be the max with just a standard bocce ball set. If you got 2 of them, then you could probably play with more.
Yeah.
But it's a really fun game. Look it up. We like it because nobody else had it.
Yeah.
You know, there's tons of people who have
cornhole, the big Jenga, and then there's a lot of campgrounds that have like pickleball and pétanque, which pétanque is the French name for it, and it's very, very similar to bocce ball. But most people have cornhole or pickleball or like a big Jenga set.
But yeah, since bocce ball is, I think, a little less familiar, it honestly opens up a lot of questions. But then our spin on it with the house rules always is a fun one. Everyone loves getting into it, and that's part of the charm is just how can I throw this ball as weird as I can and make other people look dumb while they're throwing it.
Exactly. But it's fun because we've been playing it before. The other campers will come up and ask what we're doing, and then we'll say, hey, we could use some more players. You want to play with us? And this is a great way to get out. One, it gets you outside, and two, you get to meet new people, which is a lot of fun, and you get to see them throw a ball in a really, really funny way.
And it's also really, really compact to store.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
But pick your game. Like, figure out what it is. Something that's going to force you to get outside and something that other campers can join in with because it's so much more fun when you're hanging out with the other campers around the campground. It's good to be by yourself as a couple and hanging out, but it's also great to just spend time having fun with those around you.
Hey campers and friends, thanks for listening. We'd love to stay connected. We actually just started a TikTok account, and so join us on TikTok if that's your thing, or follow us on Instagram at WanderingRVBabe, or email us a question or a travel idea or a comment or a name for that new segment, that Pick of the Week segment, at podcast@WanderingRVBabe.com. And we will see you next time.
Take care.
Bye.
Okay, you were really, really sweet. Not to mention our adventure in Delhi, Louisiana. But I'm giving you permission.
Where you got your truck stuck and a Ford had to bail you out.
Well, I have nothing against Fords. It's just the fact that I took a U-turn. I tried to take a U-turn on a 2-lane road. I had enough space using the shoulder a little bit to get around, but unfortunately it
had rained and that grass was really soft and muddy.
And my tires just sank right down.
And so thankfully just a few minutes went by and a Good Samaritan stopped by and hooked you up to a chain on his truck and we were able to get us out of it. But
we were saved by the kindness of strangers.